This is the AOC Sports High School Football Preview Show.
Another week of Friday Night Rivals here tonight on UTV 44, back here at AOC for our pregame show. Jim Cox and Dan Brennan as we get ready for our matchup tonight. We're in 6A Region 1.
Yes.
Hard to believe. Like I was just telling Coach Barnett, it's almost like we followed this region from the beginning of the season because so much going on and our local team so strong in that region.
Yeah.
And we had one of those games last week as we were over in Spanish Fort, as we were watching Spanish Fort take on McGill. And I think not really what we expected in that game, and not really expected how that game kind of would unfold. Turned out to be another great Friday Night Rivals.
How many games have we had this year where we were trying to whittle it down before the game, and then what happened? You could have thrown our pregame out.
Right, most of them, yeah.
I don't know if it says about us or it says more about the teams. But I think one of the reasons that 6A is a popular region for us to cover is it's got these compelling, legacy names and stories, and we have two of them tonight too.
Yeah, and you've got some that are rivals that go back a long time. You got some that have kind of recently come into this region from one way or another, falling down or bumping up from classification.
You've got teams in the city of Mobile that never played before,
right,
that are playing this year. So very compelling stuff.
Yeah, Heather Healy is with us here, filling in for our doctors here as well. And again, that atmosphere last week on the hill at Spanish Fort, you talked about it a few weeks ago when we were there for the Daphne game. It was the same way. I mean, it was big. McGill brought a big crowd. It was loud on both sides.
Katy Perry didn't play though.
No,
I made
so,
sure.
Neil Diamond felt like we were at Fenway for a Red Sox game.
It's like they've got a fourth quarter DJ or something. So his choices were a little bit different.
Deep into Van Halen's 1984 during the fourth quarter of that game.
It was quite a menagerie of music playing. But like I said earlier a few weeks ago, they're right on top of you. So you can barely hear yourself. But I mean, that's what the atmosphere is about. That's what all the fun is about. And I mean, that crowd really brought the home team to come around. So it was a blast.
Spanish Fort got up big, and we kind of, we're in a commercial break, and we're kind of like, ooh, hope this one doesn't get away from the Yellow Jackets. We're not rooting for anybody. We're always just rooting for a good game.
Exactly.
And it felt like it was slipping away that way. And then the resiliency of those Yellow Jackets and some big plays, good quarterback play, special teams play.
Yeah.
Suddenly, we had a great game on our hands.
They had a lot of heroes in the third and fourth quarter. McGill, right? They had players that stood up and made some big plays. And so then it was, is this game going to slip away from Spanish Fort, actually?
Yeah, right.
There was that possibility with a couple of minutes to go. So really well-played football game. Again, not exactly what we expected. But we'll take a good game anytime.
Oh, absolutely. There was turnovers by Spanish Fort and penalties, which Coach Chase Smith was talking with us before the game on the field and just saying, we can't have that. Then they had that. And then I think you saw the sophomore quarterback from McGill really kind of grow up a little bit in that second half of the game.
Yeah, he almost played angry. He got hit on a play, got knocked kind of a cheap shot.
Yep, right up under the chin.
Yeah, he really responded.
Yeah, he really did for sure. You could see the control that he had from the first half to the second half. That's the big thing that I noticed with McGill's quarterback. But that Spanish Fort defense, that's the most calm and collected that I've seen them all season. We showed them, 4 times this season? And out of the 4, that's the most collected that I've seen them play.
Yeah, and they had to hold on down. Ended up winning, was it about 10, 11, 9?
33-24.
Okay, so you're in charge of math, so that would be 9. So they had a 2-score game by the end, but it was a battle for sure. And we talked about this after that Daphne game. We have seen a lot of games over the years where those Spanish Fort teams in a game like that, they seem to find a way to get those wins.
Yeah, different kids, different coaches, doesn't seem to matter.
Right.
They are used to winning. Of course, those kids are preparing to be a Toro from about the 3rd grade on, much like a lot of schools that have got the one school system. So good for them. Another big win and big game tonight.
Yeah, and McGill, now they are just coming into their tough part of the 6A Region 1 schedule. I had Spanish Fort. They've still got to play Theodore. They still got to play Saraland. They got McGill. I'm sorry, they got St. Paul's. Had St. Paul's earlier in the year, so they're coming into their tough part of the schedule. All that said, really sets up tonight's game in 6A Region 1. Blount and St. Paul's. It's like a playoff game for both of these teams. Just from St. Paul's to keep keep where they're at and then also not to get themselves in a tiebreaker situation with Blount, where Blount, they got to win if they want to have a chance to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, Blount's got to win. I think the McGill loss helped St. Paul's. McGill's future schedule may help St. Paul's because they've got some games that they will be underdogs in. But tonight you're going to see a couple of teams really play very hard. They have not always been in the same region. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, depending on what the Alabama High School Athletic Association wants to do with where St. Paul's is. But they know each other, and I think we can look for. There's going to be some really good athletes on the field, both teams. We can look for a good game tonight.
Yeah, should get that playoff atmosphere on the field for sure. When we come back, we'll talk more about our matchup tonight. St. Paul's playing host to the Blount Leopards. We'll find out more about it coming up right after this from our pregame show here at AOC. Friday Night Rivals getting closer to kickoff here tonight. 6A Region 1 battle. St. Paul's playing host to the Blount Leopards. Jim Cox, Dan Brennan here with us. Chris Lacey, if you're a longtime viewer of Friday Night Rivals, recognize the name from the St. Paul's teams of years past, especially last year. Ham Barnett, new head coach of the St. Paul Saints, here with us as we get ready for this one. And Coach, we were talking about it before the show, and Dan and I, like, it's playoff football right now, right? It feels like for you guys, playoffs start, and for Blount, playoffs start this week.
For sure. I mean, that's something we talk about every day. Is going into the Robertsdale game last week, I explained to them, it's win or go home. And so we had.
And your kids are good at math.
They
are.
They're very good at math. They're very
good
smart.
at everything.
And so last week we looked at the Robertsdale game as a playoff game. We played on Thursday night, and we played really well in the first half, and able to get some guys in the second half. And this week's been another good week of practice, preparing for the Blount Leopards, who traditionally are a great football team, and so when they put on that purple, they're gonna hit you, and they're gonna play hard, and Coach Harris has done a good job coaching them as well. So we look forward to a great competition on Friday night.
So your team gets, because of the competitive balance, your team gets bumped up into 6A play, and it feels to me like the private schools get hammered twice. You have the set of the multiplier number for number of students there, but then competitive, it's a chance to kind of get the double whammy, it feels like. But
no, it's not your imagination.
Yeah, it is. But and I have to think this 6A Region 1 this year has been everything you thought it would be when you saw it on paper when you got the news.
Well, for sure. I mean, we have a school of 420 kids. Everybody we're playing against has 700 or more. Even to 12 to 1,300 kids, and that's a little bit of an advantage for our opponents. But St. Paul's, something about St. Paul's that's special is the kids believe they're going to win every single game. And winning 4 state championships in the last 10 years in 5A2, they just have that tradition. And our senior class got to experience that in 2020. And so I hate that they get penalized for a team that happened 2 years ago as well. I don't think it's fair, but nobody feels sorry for private schools, even though the city schools really have all the advantage right now. But our kids have responded. Nobody's really given us a shot this year. Nobody expects us to do anything this year, and but our kids, we've talked about that winning attitude, that edge, and they played with that edge this year.
Talk about Lacey. Chris Lacey, somebody we saw last year as well, maybe even the year before.
Yeah, Chris Bracey. Yeah,
he's Bracey. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So he's a player that we've seen, and we realize he's versatile. And I know that you had to kind of retool your plan from earlier in this season because he was playing too much.
For sure. Our plan was for him and Drew Williamson to be our 2 running backs, kind of our bell cows. He's been a 3-year starter for me on defense in the 2020 season. He actually was a running back his freshman year, so we knew he could run the football. And then I talked Coach Mask into letting him play the boundary safety, which is where we actually put our best athlete. And he told me no for about 2 weeks. Then there was an injury, and then I was like, well, now what?
Now what you gonna do?
So then he came in, and he had 80 tackles that sophomore year. He's one of our bell cows. On the defensive side of the ball, and that year we gave up 10 points a game, and a lot of it's attributed to him and making the checks and the calls for us. So I can't say enough about how special he is to me, just to build that relationship over the last 3 years on the defensive side of the ball, and the trust I have for him is enormous.
He's your guy.
Yeah. He's my guy.
And going to UAB, they want you as a DB up there. But now, Coach says you were playing too much. I would guess as much as you love him in the relationship, maybe some arguing there, right? To say, man, Coach, I can play some more, right?
Yes, sir. Definitely. I'm used to playing a lot. I played both ways, growing up all year. It definitely helps to take some time off on the offense, but it also fuels me. So when I get in there, I play 100%. Get the yards and get down.
And you and Drew. I mean, that's a really nice yin and yang to have back there in the backfield, right?
Drew is definitely special. He showed me a lot. The Spanish Fort game. I have the utmost trust in him. Sometimes he runs the ball down the field and I end up getting a touchdown, but it's really Drew.
Talk about that sophomore year. Did you realize? Did Coach tell you this is a really important position for us, or did he just put you in there?
Yeah.
And the fact that you played such a big role in such a good team, and you were just a 10th grader. Did you understand it all at the time?
Well, really, it all kind of happened very fast. I was 14. Coming in, at first I didn't think I was going to play, but then I had the opportunity to play safety, and I embraced it, and had the chip on the shoulder, and just play hard.
And the safety in your defense, I mean, he's the quarterback back there for your.
Oh yeah,
he
makes all our calls, and we're very multiple on our coverages. We run 8 to 10 different coverages, and he knows them inside and out. And the fun thing about Chris too is he coaches the guys behind him too. So when the twos are out there or the JVs out there, he's standing behind them, coaching them up, and that's what you need out of a leader.
I guess that's part of what the colleges that recruited him saw in him was beyond his athletic ability, his smarts on the field.
Yeah, and his leadership. I mean, that's something. He's one of our team captains, voted by the players, and so when you get voted by the players as a team captain, that says something about his personality.
Y'all stay right here. We'll do another segment with you. Come back. We'll talk more about tonight's matchup between Blount and St. Paul's right here on Friday Night Live. Just about 10 minutes away from kickoff here tonight. 6A Region 1 battle again. St. Paul's playing host to Blount. Jim Cox, Dan Brennan, Coach Ham Barnett, Chris Bracey from the Saints. We continue to talk about our matchup here tonight. Coach, actually you referenced that Spanish Fort game. Triple overtime game, lose by 3. How do you take the good that comes out of that game? Because there certainly was a lot of that, but not have the stinging defeat of losing such a heartbreaker like that carry on the rest of the season. How do you get it, put it behind you quickly?
Well, I mean, we had to. Something, going into that game, really nobody gave us a shot. They played really close with Spanish Fort, played really close with Saraland, and played really close with Theodore. So everybody thought that it was going to be kind of the same outcome that we had against Saraland in week 2 or week 3. But our kids responded something we talked about that week was just having fun. Like, it's high school football. I think sometimes I, as a coach, take it too seriously. Like, I hate losing. I talk about how much I hate losing with the kids all the time. And we talk about losers and winners a lot, don't we, Chris? But our kids came out and they fought for 4 quarters and 3 overtimes, and I couldn't be more proud of them. I was upset by how it ended, but the way they played and the way they competed, man, I couldn't ask for anything more of them.
Yeah, when you get to the 3rd overtime, I mean, it's anybody's game at that point. Anything can happen. Talk about assistant at St. Paul's, 2 years head coach at Cottage Hill, now head coach of the Saints. How is it the second time being a head coach compared to a young head coach in his first job?
Well, it's a lot smoother. Like I told Dan earlier, I was at St. Paul's for 3 years as a defensive coordinator. So knowing the community, I kind of grew up in that community as well. So I know a lot of the parents and the people in the community. Having the relationship with the administration and the board and the headmaster and
the kids
the kids, and it made a difference. And I came in their freshman year, so they knew what I was about. They knew some of the changes I would probably make if I became the head coach, and they bought into me. And it's all about relationships. That's what we talk about all the time. Like, my favorite part of the day is they get done their workout and there's 12 players sit in my office just talking about life or talking about something, and we joke around a lot. We have a good time. It's kind of a fraternity atmosphere a little bit, but we just have a lot of fun and we just hang out, And so those kids play for me, I think, because of that.
I would have to guess when you found out that Coach was going to become the head coach, you had to be excited about that?
Yeah, I kind of knew. I was very excited because of the relationship we had. I mean, he's been here since I was a freshman, and he had a very great relationship with my brother, and it just all carried on.
Wow.
Let's talk about this Blount team. We kind of know what they're going to do in terms of they've got some players, they've got some athletes, and they play hard.
Yeah.
So do you know a good number of the guys on that team?
I know a couple of them. I played against them in Park Ball Little League. They're very aggressive. They're going to play hard. You know, that's just Blount's.
Yeah.
You know.
In the 23 years we've done it, that's been Blount.
And they've kind of struggled on offense a bit. They've been shut out the last 2 weeks. Of course, they played two of the top two teams in the region in the last few weeks. But you always look at it, it's like, boy, you're like, oh boy, I hope this isn't the week that the Leopards get the offense rolling, right?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, they played multiple quarterbacks all year. You know, they have a very good running back, number one, does a great job for them. Their offensive line is big and they're athletic and they move well and they got a lot of speed on the outside. And so, you know, it makes you nervous watching film. But every game I've ever been in at St. Paul's, you're worried about somebody taking it over the top or explosive plays. And
you don't win. You guys don't win the getting off the bus look all that often.
Never. We never win. I think the only time that we look like the other opponent is UMS. And, but other than that, I mean, like last year we're playing Pike Road, and I was like,
oh man,
okay, I don't know about this. And even Liger last year.
Yeah.
But our kids respond, man. They just play hard, and so you know, I love that about them.
St. Paul's is such a cool place to coach. Your wife is an alum of St. Paul's, right? And like you said, you knew so many of the families, the kids, and even the administration. It just has got to be. It's like coming home for you. This is an opportunity to coach in an area where there's not as many question marks about all that stuff.
Right.
You get it, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, living in the community, being part of the community. Like I live at St. Paul's. You know, about 24/7. My wife doesn't like that too much, but the good thing is she brings the kids to practice some. She comes and hangs out she brings me lunch on Sunday, things like that. And during the day when I'm stressed out, I'll just go over to the lower school and I'll go hang out with her for about 30 minutes, sitting on the playground because she teaches the K4. And so it's kind of a dream come true for me, you know, being at the same place, teaching with my wife, and we plan on being there as long as they'll keep us.
So as someone who's going to go on and play at the next level, are you able to keep being appreciative of like just how special these Friday night high school games are with your teammates and your Friday night brothers?
Yeah, it's definitely hard. You got to rethink these moments. These are the memories that you think about when you grow old, you know. And it's just you got to take in the moments and really play.
Yeah, I mean, you talk to so many people, athletes who go on at the next level, play in the NFL.
Philip Rivers
talk about this. It's like those Friday night memories. They're big. We can't wait. Hope you make some more on TV tonight. Thanks, Coach. Heather's going to be back for the next segment. She's going to talk to these two. She's also got our Wendy's Giant of the Week. Dan and I are going to head up to the press box and get ready for our matchup tonight between Blount and St. Paul's right here on Friday Night Rivals.
Football preview show, everybody. Heather Healy here. Is time for the best segment out of the show. But before we get into all the good stuff with St. Paul here, we got to get to our Wendy's Giant of the Week. And a huge congratulations to Cole McConaughey, a junior defensive end from Spanish Ford High School, this week's Wendy's Giant of the Week. Do you want to be this week's Wendy's Giant of the Week? If you're a junior or a senior who plays on the football team at any of the high schools in our Alabama viewing area, well, guess what? You could win. Log on to utb44.com and click on the contest page to be entered for a Wendy's Giant of the Week prize pack. Rules and regulations, of course, do apply. All right, Chris Bracey and then head coach Barnett, it's so great to have you guys here with us today. And before we get into all the fun questions that I know that you're just dying to answer, I've got to ask, what are you looking forward to most Friday night?
This is my first time playing Blount as a starter.
Yeah.
My brother played against them. They won a very tight game. It's very, very interesting. Playing some friends, it's going to be a great experience.
For sure. And Coach, this is your first year as head coach. You were on the coaching staff beforehand, but how has the team really embraced you this year? How have they really rallied against, or not against you, with you?
Well, just the relationships that I've had with them, you know, for 4 years, and so they've embraced the few changes I made to the way we practice, the way we do things, but just you know, the relationships, the conversations we have, they've just embraced everything about what I brought and the staff has brought. So they played hard for me. That's all you can ask as the head coach.
That is all you can ask for sure. All right, are we ready for the hardest questions that you will ever be asked? Are you ready?
We're ready.
And you cannot have the same answers. All right, favorite thing about this time of year?
Probably my birthday.
When's your birthday?
October 20th.
Okay, well, happy early birthday. How about you?
Well, my birthday too. October 3rd, I just had it.
Well,
celebrated 43 years.
There you go, happy early birthday. You don't look a day over 30. All right, favorite fall activity?
Probably Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Okay. You big turkey eater?
I like the food. So
Okay.
yeah.
There you go. What about you?
Coaching football and then watching Alabama play and college football on Saturdays.
Ooh, I like that answer. That's my favorite as well. All right, apple cider or pumpkin spice?
Probably pumpkin spice.
Why?
Apple cider, it's probably not good. I just never had it, so.
All right, your stock just went down with me. Yes, what about you? Apple cider or pumpkin spice?
Because apple cider is disgusting.
Oh my gosh, you guys can just walk off now. Okay, favorite Halloween candy?
Probably Reese's Pieces.
Okay.
Yeah.
Reese's Cups.
Reese's Cups,
Yeah.
yes!
That's the best.
You are now back up in the win column. All right, favorite Halloween costume as a kid?
Probably Spider-Man.
Ooh,
maybe,
okay.
Yeah.
Did you go more than 1 year in a row for?
I didn't really dress up a lot, but I've been to Spider-Man a couple times, yeah.
Okay, what about you?
Superman. He was always my favorite.
The cape?
Oh, the cape, and I thought I could fly.
There you go, rocking that cape. I like that. All right, is it too early for stores to be selling Christmas decorations, yes or no?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's October.
That's right. What about you?
Same thing is ridiculous.
It is. It's absolutely crazy. I just saw Christmas trees in July, too, the other day. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here. We greatly appreciate it. Play fair, coach safe.
Yes.
And hope everybody has a wonderful Friday evening. We're going to toss it now to Jim and Dan in the booth. Stay with us.